Oh boy, more silly fishing games. I haven't done a proper game review since, oh boy. But lately I've dumped an absurd amount of time into this silly little game that popped up in my Steam recommendations that I just had to tell someone about how great it is, and unfortunately for you guys, that's you. If you've been lurking on the channel for a while, you know how much I adore fishing in video games, and if the game is solely about fishing, that's even better. So this video is basically just a justification for the amount of time I've wasted playing this addicting little game. It really hits a lot of very specific niches for me that I personally love. So as such, I'm going to delve into all the stock standard game review stuff like the visuals, gameplay, and other design aspects of it, and then briefly summarize a couple of fun personal stories I've had with the game to really try and convey how uniquely fun the social aspect of it is, since the game is equal parts video game and chat room. The game itself creates such a fun and comfy vibe that I haven't seen since the early days of TF2 or Club Penguin, or if you're old and decaying like me, something like Toontown. Y'all remember Toontown? I miss that kind of fun interaction in video games, and I hope that I can accurately describe just how special this game is for bringing that kind of thing back with a modern spin on the formula. If all of that sounds interesting, grab a catcher's cola, get cozy, and cast out your lines while you listen to me talk about quite possibly the best fishing simulator on the market today. This is a meaty review of Webfishing. And hey, while you're waiting for the fish to bite, maybe use that time to hit the subscribe button. Alright, fishing for subscribers over, let's get into this. To start things off, you load up the game and either make or join a lobby. If you're socially awkward and don't have friends, you can play single player, but I found that the best way to experience the game is to run headfirst into public lobbies. As a general rule of thumb, the more creative the lobby name, the more interesting experience you'll have. And thus far I've seen some very creative lobby names, ranging from the wholesome to the not so wholesome, which I just find funny because the juxtaposition between the aesthetic of cute silly animals and raunchy diarrhea humor, or the most down bad statement that you've heard in your life, will never not be funny to me. Truly a great microcosm of the many sides of the internet, but I'll talk more about that when I get to the social aspects. Once in, you have to make your character. There's many customization options to choose from starting out to truly drip out your character or express yourself however you'd like, and many more can be unlocked via finding collectibles in the overworld, completing challenges in fishing, or purchasing them from the shop from this cool little possum fella using the money that you've earned from fishing. With all of this customization available to you, you can really create any kind of degeneracy that you want, or if you're like me, you can use these options to craft the perfect form factor for fishing. You may not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like. It's not just the clothes and accessories that are fun and look fantastic, but the game as a whole has a very nice aesthetic. The low poly graphics and the render range obscuring fog remind me of an N64 game, and the Animal Crossing inspired looks make for a really cozy and silly atmosphere. The color palette reminds me of a crisp fall evening, and generally speaking it's all just a joy to look at. Really makes for a nice place to just sit there and relax. You could take any screenshot from this game and it would make a nice pixel art background. Other aesthetic related stuff that I enjoy is the looks of the fish. Realistically, I know that these are just a PNG of a frog or a fish or whatever the hell this is, but I can't help but love the way that these look. Like, look at this little fella. Anyway, once you've done that, you simply go pick a spot and fish. The actual minigame of fishing is extremely straightforward to play and extremely satisfying to mindlessly do, to the extent that it's almost relaxing. I find this to be one of the best games where if I don't feel like doing much, I can load it up and kind of just turn my brain off and enjoy fishing up whatever RNG thing the game decides it wants to give me. Hell, you could even put it up on the second monitor and throw on a nice video essay and listen to it and just watch the hours melt away. But then you look at the clock and 5 hours have gone by and your roommates have filed a missing persons case. I think you can see why I get lost playing this game. Where was I? Oh yeah, gameplay stuff. As the old saying goes, you have to spend money to make money. Each thing that you catch can be sold for a profit, which varies depending on the rarity, size, and quality of the fish, ranging from basic bitch to alpha chad. Or you can just go put it in the aquarium where you watch it swim around. You can use that money to upgrade the power and speed of your rod. You can also purchase upgrades to hold more bait and get more varied types of bait. The money can also be used to upgrade your camp tier, which is an overall upgrade to your stores and the things that they sell. In essence, it unlocks more cosmetics and allows you to further upgrade your fishing prowess. I personally love the simple act of catching all of the fish available in the game, of which there is a surprising amount, with different ones available in different bodies of water, and a few special ones that can only be caught during specific conditions, such as a meteor falling, during a rainstorm, or this one that can only be caught if you make it outside the map, which I thought was really neat. There's also just something about that game loop that satisfies the collectathon lover in me with filling out the journal as you catch each kind of fish. The journal contains a picture and some flavor text for each fish, with the flavor text always being a charming little thing to read. One even makes a D's nuts joke, so it automatically puts it at a top tier game for me. That goes for most of the humor actually. The game strikes a nice balance between wholesome and goofy, as shown with most of the titles or cosmetics. The game never takes itself too seriously, often referencing memes and making jokes at its own expense, and I think it works for the most part. You can even purchase a label maker from the shop, which allows you to name your own items. You can get creative with it, or if you're me, you can name it the most obvious joke in existence. If you've purchased a fishing game but you don't like fishing for some reason, worry not, because there's other things to do in the game to pass time. If you go to the dock shop, you can buy a metal detector which allows you to wander around and periodically find buried loot. Most of it is garbage honestly, but there's a few fragment items that allow you to get unique cosmetics from the shop. While you're wandering around, you might also find parts of a skeleton in these mounds hidden throughout the map. Those also give a special cosmetic. But we can't forget the actual and most important game here, gambling. You can buy scratch-off tickets from the shady fella at the dock at increasing prices with increasing payouts. If you want to speedrun becoming part of the bourgeoisie, or on the flip side becoming homeless, you can blow all of your money on it, which I absolutely haven't done and cannot condone. But remember that 99% of gamblers quit before hitting it big. Other miscellaneous things that you can do in the game include unleashing your inner artist by buying some chalk from the general store and drawing all sorts of anatomically correct shapes. Some people I've seen in this game are extremely talented artists, and others draw fucking Among Us or furry art on the spawn. It's like when you go into a public restroom and you admire all the wall art drawn on the stalls consisting of racially insensitive drawings. You can also buy props which act as little decorations that you can place in the overworld to really make a spot of the overworld your own cozy little space. You can buy the well or toilet to fish in for bonus aura points, or you can even get some frog friends that passively fish for you without using bait for a little extra money every so often. There's lots of props to buy, and as far as I know, there's no limit to how many unique ones that you can place at a time, which make for a nice set dressing for that sweet, sweet ambience. Adding to the ambience of this game, you can also buy a guitar from the general store which allows you to play music for those near to you to hear. If you're inept like me, you can cause bleeding from the ears by playing random arrangements of sounds, or if you're this one guy I ran into, you can make a program to play Linkin Park, which I won't play here out of fear of copyright, but that was also neat. It really brings people together, like when you're on a road trip and you keep handing the aux cord off to random people in the car to play whatever deep fried bullshit is on their playlist. Speaking of bringing people together, that feels like a good segue to talk about the social aspects of this game, but that requires a bit of context first. I'm looking at this next part through the lens of somebody who's been chronically online for a long time and has played a vast array of video games with online chat features, some being more pleasant than others. As such, I feel like each game community has a unique feeling to them. For example, this game is very chill and silly, and as such, seems to foster a lobby of those kinds of people. Conversely, something like League of Legends harbors creatures which have the unique ability to say the dumbest shit that you've ever heard and induce a brain aneurysm or concoct slurs not yet found in the English lexicon.
God damn it! Nothing's going right today!
Instead of that, you're met with funny Animal Crossing noises and generally wholesome conversation. Like I was saying earlier, this harkens back to the old days of old school RuneScape or Club Penguin, where the game itself was almost secondary to just hanging out with randoms online, which I miss sometimes. It's like when you go into a TF2 match and you hear 50 people talking over each other at once and one fuckhead in the corner mic spamming some deep fried bullshit. Or you hop on RuneScape and see the classic buying GF 100 gold. It just has this fun, slightly chaotic, but interconnected feeling of community, which is a nice change of pace from almost every competitive online multiplayer game nowadays, where the most conversation you usually get is someone calling you a dog player. For example, I once went into a lobby and we created a whole religion around Skibidi Toilet. I wish I was joking. And us loyal followers began fishing in the said toilet. Unironically, the loot was pretty outstanding, and we ended up making an entire setup based around the toilet. When the de facto leader eventually hopped off for the night, tribute was paid in the form of drawing their character on the ground in the spawn. This was one of the more wholesome interactions I've had with the game. Another time, we just gathered around some dude who was playing some banger jams and taking requests. It's the simple things sometimes, like hanging out with some homies listening to music, catching fish, and shooting the shit. It did, however, make my game run at 2 frames per second, but I definitely think it was worth it. Finally, I encountered a server called Diarrhea Sisters, where we discussed the cinematic masterpiece that is Shrek 2, and pondered such philosophical themes as the merits of gooning in theaters to fairy godmother, and fishing using only your dick and some string. Alas, I had to leave that one early for my day job, but I was sent off with one of the more wholesome goodbyes from randoms that I've ever seen. That was really nice. And these are just a few examples from games that I've played. People like this have made this game such a special experience, unlike any other. Obviously, there's going to be some trolls and odd people, much like in real life, but in general, this game has had some of the best interactions in social online games I've had in many years, and that happens more often than not. I hope that I've been able to effectively convey how unique and fun this game is for that reason. In summary, for roughly the price of your average fast food burger, and sometimes even less, you too can get this great little game and also piss away several hours of your life fishing up JPEGs of fish and chatting with randoms about whatever unhinged musing their brain cells come up with that day. There's lots of content to satisfy the collector in you and fun little things to explore and do, all tied together with a cute aesthetic that makes for a very cozy vibe just to sit back and relax with. I really can't recommend it enough. My final rating is Opulent Sunfish out of 10. Thank you for watching, roll the outro. Hey there, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it and you want to see more videos like this, leaving a like and subscribing helps. If you're new here, I make a wide variety of video game adjacent content, usually in the form of long, wordy video essays, which will be in the playlist in the description, along with my socials if you want to check out any of that. If you really like my content, you want to further support me, there's also a Patreon link in the description where you can get your name listed or spoken here, but no pressure, I'm just glad that you're watching this video. Speaking of patrons, a huge thank you to the top tier Patreon homies, NDH and List, for your Patreon support over there. I really can't thank you guys enough. You help me continue to make these silly videos and I appreciate that a lot. Thank you all once again for watching this video. Have a good one, and I will see you next time.